Now we're recording. I'm gonna just say it one more time. We got our co-host Georgie Medina, and because of him and wanting to co-host, we have an awesome guest on today, in Tyler Funky Bones Jones.
Let's go.
Sheesh.
Woo!
Sheesh. My brother. Good to see you. Yeah.
What's up, man?
I love the cheering.
Sorry,
One more time for the cheering.
One more time.
We got soundbite. Hold on.
There it is. Pro fighter in the building. Two of us.
There we go.
Jeez.
And then you got me.
Jeez.
I'm just you're casual, I guess. So how are you doing today? You want to tell the people when, who, what, where, how is your next fight? Iowa.
Yeah, I'm fighting next Saturday, the 27th, against Jake Bauer out for Absolute Combat League in Des Moines, Iowa, or right outside Des Moines, Iowa. I don't even know what town it is. Yeah, it should be a good one. I took it on a couple weeks' notice. You know, just stay ready so I don't have to get ready. And
awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to finishing this, dude.
Dude, that's so good. Like when you came in, I was just like, he's freaking huge right now, dude.
I'm not even.
But he's cutting, but
It's a catch weight?
Yeah, it's a catch weight at 165. And then we get a pound, which is interesting because usually at catch weights, it's flat. you
More
know?
strict. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way I'm making 155 on 2 weeks' notices.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Yeah, that's what do you cut down from?
I usually walk around like 180, something like that. So it takes
okay.
me like a month or so of just like eating real clean to get down to
Yeah.
where I need to go. And then I could start camp and really like diet in from there if I'm going to 55. But yeah, this one was just a little too short notice to get it in. This time I got up a little bit too. I was at like 85, 86.
Sheesh. He's eating good.
No, I'm getting old.
What would what would you usually eat like for your fight camp?
Honestly, like, luckily, I am one of the type of people that can eat the same thing like every day and not care about it. So I get like a chicken patty. That's just the grilled chicken thing. It has like a little bit of jalapeno in there and stuff. They're at Mariano's at the meat section. I get them all the time. And then a rice cake or two for the carb. And I put a little cream cheese on the rice cake.
Ooh.
So I got my fat, my carb, my protein, and then whatever vegetables I want to add to the side. But it's pretty simple, man. Like, it's nothing crazy. And it's easy. Like, toss it in the air fryer, cook them up. And
Do you guys know what's crazy? That like there's this stigma around healthy eating these days where everybody says it's too expensive. But given inflation, I'd argue that it's just as expensive eating absolute crap and shit food.
Yeah, I think it's just expensive, period. You know?
Yeah.
I do feel like my grocery bill goes down every time I'm in camp because I
eat less.
I only have to buy chicken, this and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going ham, dude, I'm buying everything.
You also have to like kind of like choose your expenses. Like, do you want to choose like hospital bills for not being healthy, or do you want to like eat healthy foods?
That's true. Yeah.
Health is wealth. Like I've always lived by that too.
100%.
Health is wealth. That's awesome.
100%.
But before we start like in the present and future, like tell us a little bit about your past. Like what got you into MMA? Why'd you decide to like go pro too? Like,
Man.
because I don't even know that story.
It's been a long road. So I started wrestling in high school, and even before I started wrestling, like my choice to wrestle was influenced by MMA. Like I watched a lot of MMA with my brother, and we had watched the first season of Tough together.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do for a living, like period. And that was in, I think, my 8th grade year or something like that. So I started wrestling in high school, and it took me a while to kind of find my stride, but towards senior year, I found my stride, was competing well, was able to go to like a D3 school and wrestle. And then from there, I did it for a couple of years and just felt burnt out.
Yeah.
And I stopped wrestling for, I think, 2 years, finished out my degree, went to DePaul.
Oh, you went to DePaul?
Yeah. I got a
Nice,
degree
dude.
in psychology from DePaul.
What has that taught you about fighting?
Nothing.
Really?
No, it has for sure. Mine was more like workplace psychology. So it was more based on like, how do we get people to work the best, right? Like, how can we get the most output out of people? So we use that. I use that quite a bit, like teaching the classes that I teach and stuff like that. But
It's awesome.
yeah, after I graduated college, I spent a couple of years, got really fat, and then got into jiu-jitsu. And then from jiu-jitsu, I decided that I wanted to take a fight now or never. And I think I was 25 or 24 when that happened. So it was about 4 years ago. And then from there, just hit the ground running, right? So it was always my plan to be a professional fighter. It just was one of those things where like you keep putting something off and then it just keeps piling up, right? And then you're at the point where like, man, am I ever going to do this?
Yeah.
And then I finally pulled the trigger and it's just been off to the races from there.
Wow.
So it's you fully committed, and then you're like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I had 7 amateur fights. And then before my pro debut, I was working at a construction company. I was running all like the administration for the construction company. And before my pro debut, my boss passed away. And I was like,
Oh, no.
like literally as I was boarding the plane, my boss passed. And she was like a good family friend of mine. I'd known her my whole life. And it was a small business that she was running, right?
Yeah.
So only she had run it. Only she knew everything about the business. So getting onto the plane before my pro fight, I was like, I have no idea what my future holds. Like if I come back from this fight, I may not have a job. You know, everything is like up for grabs right now. So I pretty much committed to just quitting my job in that moment and going straight to fighting at that point. And I won that fight, came back home and just went all in on, you know, personal training people, private sessions, like striking, jiu-jitsu, all that stuff. And then, yeah, just teaching and training.
Dude, that's an awesome story. I know we're close friends and training partners, and I never knew that.
It's wild, man.
It's so cool.
It's wild.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So I did a little bit of stalking before this, and I saw in your Instagram stories that you have a girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
How long have you guys been together?
We've been together for, man, I think we're closing in on 3 years now, something like that.
Shout out.
Shout out Claire at home.
But
Follow 2C Media. She has a great photographer.
She is great, dude. I've
so,
seen her
yeah,
pictures for
dude.
fights and stuff. And I'm like, sheesh.
Fights. They do like fit. She does a lot of like fitness, like strength and conditioning gyms and stuff. She's super talented. So shout out to her.
the reason I bring it up too is because like on your stories, you guys are like laughing, and it seems like how big has she been a part of your support system? Like,
Yeah, it's huge, man. It's everything, right? Because like, if you don't have someone that understands what you have to go through to go into a fight or go through a fight camp, it's damn near impossible to even have a significant other. You know, and luckily, like she's probably trained longer than I have, really cumulatively. Like she started training when she was in high school at the old Combat Dough in Joliet.
wow.
So she's been around the sport forever, you know. So she like we came into our relationship with an understanding of like, this is how the land lays out, especially in training and getting ready for fights. And, you know, even like this, like a short notice fight, she's not even going to be able to come because she already has things scheduled, but that's just how it works, right? Like, that's how
awesome.
the sport works. It's kind of just chaotic and wild. So yeah, it's everything, man. To have someone that's willing to be by your side and be there during the weight cuts and be there during the losses and the wins, it's huge.
I agree with you. I feel like the right woman could really, like, you know, no, you should, there's a difference between dependency and then equal like growth, where she's helping you grow and promoting it, because like the right woman could really launch you in your career and life and health. And I just thought it was like awesome to see that you guys are in an awesome relationship. And I always am interested to see what relationships are like for MMA fighters and for business owners alike, because there's a lot of time and sacrifice that gets poured into it.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing too about like MMA fighters is it's so easy to fall down that slippery slope of like going out and drinking. And like if you're a single MMA fighter, right, it's like easy to say like, oh, I'm a fighter, and then people are interested and you start talking to people. It's a very easy conversation starter, but it doesn't really equate to the lifestyle, right? Like you can't go out and drink every weekend. You can't do this and that, right? So having a significant other and being more like of a homebody and just having someone to be with is the way to go.
Yeah. And just like the stress throughout
Yeah.
the whole camp, like when you come home from two training sessions a day and like your food's taken care of and your schedule's booked, and you had nothing to do with that, you're like even more grateful for the person.
Yeah.
Because like they understand, but they're like, I want to help you.
Right.
And I know you're the same way with her stuff. And I'm like jealous of the relationship, but I need something like that too. Because man, there's nothing like a fighter's life.
It's tough,
to be
man.
honest.
It's tough. And honestly, like piggybacking off of that, like it's easy. It's a stigma first off for men just to not talk about mental health and how we're feeling about stuff, let alone fighters talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So, like, bro, I don't care who you are, you're nervous before your fight. Like, there's negative thoughts that run through your head. You have no idea what's actually going to happen out there.
Yeah.
So it helps to have someone to talk to like that, you know?
For
And
sure, yeah.
something that I also do now is I work with a sports psychologist over at Chicago Mind Solutions, William. And honestly, man, like, I talk to that guy about my entire life, you
That's
know, and it
awesome.
just feels like a weight lifted off my shoulders going into a performance of, all right, well, I've thought about this and I'm not letting it sit in my head. I'm talking about it with a professional. He's telling me this is how you deal with these thoughts, or this is what we can do to prepare better for this. And it makes a huge difference, man.
And like going into psychology and stuff, this is a question for both of y'all. What mindset is the best to enter the ring with? The kind of stressed but also ready, the absolute flow state where you couldn't be more like at ease, or just like feeling the pressure, which like a lot of the people watching, just to give them some value, they might want to step in the shoes of you in the cage. So what would be the best way to step in that cage?
Man, I think it varies for everyone, you know. Everyone's going to be keyed in at a different frequency. For me, I feel like I've gotten all the experiences, and I've definitely had ones that I don't like, and I've had ones that I really like. My thing has always been that I come in there a little bit too calm, right? So like my last fight, for instance, I felt like I got in the cage and I was still like behind the driving wheel, right? Like the fight or flight never kicked off. It was like, why am I still here? Why am I still playing right now? You know, because usually you go in there and everything just kind of goes into autopilot.
Yeah.
And so getting the right frequency, getting keyed in before you walk out is really key, because you want to go in there and just be almost having like an out of body experience, I guess is the way to explain it. I mean, my pro debut, that's exactly how I felt. I walked in and it was like I was floating above the cage watching myself fight, just completely in that flow state. And that was probably the best performance I've ever had in my career. So I think that's what we're all chasing, but you have to be malleable and understand, like, all right, well, I'm not getting what I want right now. How do I get myself to the show in real time?
Yeah.
You know, and that's difficult, but it's available.
I like haven't fought in a year and a half, so it's hard to really think about those feelings. But one thing I would say is like the nerves really, really help.
Yeah.
Like those dreams of you getting knocked out help.
Yeah.
It like puts a fire in your ass. And I want to excuse my language, but it's exactly what it is. Because if you're not nervous, then you're like too calm. And then you get there and then you get hit and you're like, oh, shoots.
Right.
I'm here, you know? So it's like I've always gone into my fights thinking the worst case scenario. I'm going to get knocked out or I'm going to get submitted. And then like I just put on.
Then you do everything that you have to do not to have that outcome.
1,000%. Because like my coach, Ian Alexander at Fusion would say, like, you want to win every position. And like I'm talking the littlest positions. If I'm almost going to get taken down on the cage, I'm winning the wrist control. I'm winning this wizard. You know what I mean? And that's what wins fights. But it takes like the little mental toughness.
Yeah. One thing that I heard too, I forget who said it. It was one of the coaches that's running a gym where everyone in the UFC is training right now. But he was saying, like, don't forget that on the other side, in the other locker room, this guy's feeling the same thing as you're feeling. Like, you're not alone in the feeling of like, I'm nervous right now. Like, holy shit, we're about to do this. Because realistically, and shout out to Shorty Torres, because Shorty Torres made this correlation and it's spot on. It's like fighting is going on a roller coaster, right? Like you're going up the lift hill and you're like, why the hell am I doing this? Like, why am I doing this again? I can't believe this. And then you go down and it's all fun from there, right?
Yeah.
It's just the stress of getting there. Once you're in there, it's great.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Like even in a fight where things aren't going your way, like it's still a great experience, you know?
That's an awesome mindset.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I always say that fighting is kind of a lie, right? Like we see it on TV and we're like, wow, these guys are really tough. How is he working through this? You don't feel any of it in there, right? Like we're so trained to get there that when we're there, no matter how hard it goes, things are kind of easy in there.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm not like working extra hard to be tough. That's just like ingrained in who I am, you know? So it's not like it's easy. I don't know how to explain it.
I find it funny when people are like, dude, like in the second round you got hit, and I was like, I don't remember.
Yeah, it just feels like getting blown by wind or something. Like,
Yeah.
you don't actually feel pain.
What do you think separates that mindset that you have from the mindset like what GSP or Nick Diaz talk about, where they say the fighting is the worst part of it? What's like that main factor that's like, I'm having fun in here? Besides, is it the nerves? Is it the expectations? Like, what do you think it is?
I think for me, it's always the ability to like not know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
it's so hard to think about like, what can this look like? Like meditation, it really helps, and you can kind of fill in those blanks and get those mental reps. But at the end of the day, you have no idea what this guy's going to do when he's across me. You don't know how strong he is. You don't know how hard he hits. Like you haven't felt anything on him, you know? So there's so much unknown. And I think our brain naturally is just, well, we don't know this, so therefore we're scared of this, or we're nervous about this, or we can't kind of fill in that hole that we're looking for. So yeah, I think that's where a lot of it gets pushed to.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Because it's like you can either love it or hate it. Like the nerves, like before you're about to perform, before you're about to public speak, you're either like, I hate this feeling, or like I love it, because you majored in psychology, right? So let me know if I'm wrong, because I did not major in Jack. So is it the same part of the brain that feels excitement and that feels nervous? Is that like, I've heard that before, but it's mostly on like stoic type of quotes. Like,
Yeah, I feel like if you asked me this question a couple years ago before I got hit in the head for a living, I'd have a good answer for you. But I know that like the fear base is comes from your amygdala in your brain. And I think excitement does too. We'll have to fact check it. You guys need a Jamie here in the corner.
Yeah,
to,
we need
to look
somebody.
shit up.
a Jamie. If I had a Jamie, I have 2 different cameras. He'd be switching.
Yeah.
If you want to be a Jamie for my podcast, just let me know.
Hit him up.
Fighter Fluid is hiring. Come on.
Fighter Fluid's hiring. We'll pay you $5 an hour plus tips.
Volunteer work.
Plus tips.
But what do you think fighting has taught you? On like
Man.
like the first day you were like, I'm gonna commit to this. Like, what is everything you learned before that committing factor?
Yeah, that's good.
I think it's made me definitely understand that I'm a dog.
Mhm.
You know, like my first fight did that. Like I didn't know that I had that in me. And my first fight, I got dropped like 7 times. I still won, but it was a war, man. And so I think that I learned a lot of lessons early on, and I've stuck with those lessons the entire time. And then, you know, training and all that stuff, it really kills the ego, you know? So I feel so much more malleable in life in general. Like I could learn to do things and learn how to fix things that maybe aren't right. You know, maybe I'm not going about my everyday life right. Maybe my diet's off. Maybe finances are off. But I feel like fighting has taught me like, okay, well, with consistent hard work, you can fix these issues, right?
Yeah.
Like there's just not a lot you're left in the dark with, because fighting is so transparent. Like if you have a hole and you're sparring or training with the right people, they'll expose that.
Yep.
You know, period. There's nothing around it, you know? So I think that's really plays into life. Like if you're not looking into these things particularly, life will show you,
Yeah.
okay, well, you have a hole here, you better fix it. And fighting kind of shows that, yeah, you are able to fix things if you work
That's
at them.
amazing. And it's your job to be accountable for the shit that's not going right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Like you can't blame mom, you can't blame girlfriend, you can't blame dad, you can't blame grandpa, grandma. It's all on you at the end of the day. That's something I've learned with business, is that I went into this business with 2 other guys, and then they both left me. So everything that I was bitching at them for not doing, it was all on me now. And it's kind of like similar in fighting, where it's like everything that you're doing, you're accountable for. If you're
Yeah.
going to training, you're accountable for. Something Nick Aguirre said when he was on here is that like every practice I'm going to that you're not, I'm either getting a step ahead of you or I'm catching up to you.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Like,
Yeah, that's a big thing. And I think that as we get older too, like we start to learn like that mindset is so key to be consistent and get to the practices that you need to get to, but also to take care of your body and recover at the same time with the same amount of like tenacity, right?
Yeah.
Like dude, I abused recovery for so long, and it became a hole, like we were just talking about, a hole in my game, you know, where now I'm feeling issues more than I was 3 years ago, you know? So you have to work at everything at once, you know? And if you were to ask me the question, what advice would you give to young fighters? Get your diet right and get your recovery down while you're young. Make it a habit, because everyone thinks that they're age proof.
Yeah.
You're not. I promise you, you're not. Everyone's going to feel the ailments of getting older in this sport, and they're accelerated, right? Like, we're destroying our bodies in the training room. So yeah, I think getting those things in order is super key. Consistency in training, consistency in stretching, recovery, and diet.
Yeah,
you know?
that's awesome. And just doubling back a little bit on like your age. You're 29, right?
I'm about to turn 30 in September.
Sheesh. So
I'm getting old, bro.
And you said you
Telling
started
you.
at 25?
Yeah, 25 or 24. We got to look up when my first fight was. I don't know.
To some people that might seem like a little late.
Yeah,
But
100%.
to the people that like are 24, 25, 26 and am like balancing, like, should I start MMA now or is it too late? What advice would you give that person?
I would say start it. It depends on what you want to do, right? Like, there's a lot of people out there that just want to fight for the experience of fighting. And I think it's a very valuable experience, you know, especially at the amateur level. Like, you can get some real good life lessons out of just going into that cage and scrapping in front of people, you know? So I would say shoot for it, go for it, let's run it, you know? If you want to make it a profession, you got to go though. Because at the end of the day, we only have so much time. Luckily, us as you know, men have a different type of like athletic performance peak than women do. Ours starts at 30 and goes to like 34, you know? So if you want to get that and hit that stride at the right time, you got to go.
I don't mean to interrupt. Your first fight for amateur was 2019.
2019, okay.
5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
24.
so 24, okay. We're on. Yeah, I totally
That's
guessed.
awesome. Hey, good job,
guessed.
Jamie. Let's go, Jamie. Let's
There we go.
And I was just talking to Giancarlo about this too. Like, I remember commenting your first fight, and shout out Fight Card Entertainment.
Fight Card,
Yeah,
dude.
Nilo, Brian, you guys are great. We wish you come back.
Let's get connected. I don't know you guys.
Let's
but
go.
Everybody else does.
We got to
Have
get you
him
guys on the podcast.
dude.
There we go.
Nilo will come on in a minute.
Oh,
dude.
yeah. But I remember they were telling me like this might be like a contender for my amateur 155 title. And I was like, what? So I got to watch this dude fight? Like, I don't want to commentary on his fight. And I was just like thinking like, this dude's a dog.
Dude.
Like, I saw you get dropped and you were back on your feet. And I'm like, holy crap.
It was a wild fight. I mean, so I was just talking to someone about this the other day, and like, I would no one ever does this now, I feel like, but I trained zero striking before that fight. Like, we just hit like mitts a couple times and sparred, but I didn't have someone like teaching me the rules. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a southpaw too, so there's a lot of rules that come on top of that with foot placement and just, you know, the list goes on. There's so many little things, but dude, I had no instruction on how to strike before that, and we took the fight anyway, and it showed. Like, I got hit a bunch, but you know, I feel like that kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore just because the coaching is so elevated now, and there's so many more resources on Instagram, YouTube. Like, there's just top level instruction everywhere for people to find for free.
We live in the era of knowledge.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, so easily obtainable. And yeah, I mean, that was a crazy experience. I have no idea. Thinking back, like, before you climb in there the first time, you're just like, oh, this is the fun thing to do. This is right. This is it. And then afterwards, like, you have such a changed experience, right? Damn, that's real, bro. Like, someone's trying to kill you across from you. It's wild.
Sheesh. It's crazy. And then you end up winning the title like a couple years later, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I fought Slate Passmore. It was 165. It's a super lightweight title. And, you know, Slate's a tough dude, man.
Tough
a lot of Muay Thai experience. He was the Fight Card Muay Thai champion for a while. And yeah, that was a good fight and a good lesson for me. I got to go 5 rounds with him. He was tough to finish. And I mean, at amateur, right, at the end of the day, that's really what you want to happen. Like, if you go out and starch everyone, you're kind of missing out on all that ring time experience.
Yeah.
So 5 rounds with him was a godsend because it really paid off.
I've had a bunch of people just like down me for not knocking anyone out in the amateurs. And all of my fights have gone kind of gone to decision, but I'm like, bro, the amount of time that I'm getting is
huge.
more valuable than knocking and starching someone.
It's huge.
Because it like shows in the professional realm, like I've been here how many hours in just ring time that like you can see it within like film and stuff, but I feel more natural, more comfortable. I'm comfortable in position. So like any amateurs out there like wanting to knock everybody out, take a step back a little bit and just try to get some ring time.
Yeah,
for
just
sure.
work your game. You know, I think for me, like I always knew I had power on the pads and stuff, but it just wasn't equating to fights. Like I didn't feel comfortable on my feet. And then my last amateur fight, it was for LFA. I fought a guy, Casey Boykin, who was like a jiu-jitsu guy. And man, I put it on him on the feet. I hit him with a head kick early and broke his jaw. And then I hit him with something else and he fell and I just pounded him on the ground. And then after that fight, it was like, okay, I have this now.
Yeah.
You know, and then my pro debut, I slept the guy with one shot and I'm like, all right, well now I have this next level of power of understanding like, all right, if I touch you, you're going to go to sleep, you know? So every time you go out there, like you can learn off of that experience. Like you're always getting shown new things about your kit and what you can bring to the table in there, you know?
I remember sparring you a couple times before your pro debut, just because I was already pro.
Yeah.
And I remember you hit me once and I was like, oh crap. Like he's so much better than I remember. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, bro. Danny, shout out to Danny Summers, man. Danny Summers.
He's your coach?
Yeah. He's our head coach at Intercept. And like, he's just so knowledgeable and ahead of his time in striking. And, you know, like we haven't gotten anyone to the UFC level yet, but he's a UFC level coach, right? Like he's a very good coach. You've come and drill with us on
It's
Saturdays.
only a matter of time.
Only a matter of time, dude. Like the way that he sets drills up and at our like fight team practices are just like no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's so controlled, but you're getting all these reps of these high level looks and like there's no way around it, right? Like there's no uncontrolled sparring going on where you're just banging. Like everything is just dialed in and perfect. So yeah, I attribute all my ads to him.
Yeah, very intentional for sure.
Yeah.
I remember training at a couple of your like fight team practices and like the 2 hours I was there, I was like, holy crap.
Dude.
I thought I was in shape.
Right.
It's
high
2 hour
level
long.
stuff. 2 hours,
Wow.
every Saturday. You know, and it ranges too. Like sometimes we'll do a real hard 2 hour practice. Sometimes we'll do a 2 hour practice where we're just light and touching and playing our games. But it just kind of depends on what the day is and who's got fights coming up and who's fighting who and all that stuff. But yeah, Danny and then also Barry.
Yeah.
Barry is such a crazy man, but Barry can evoke that like violence out of you. And I think that's what I was missing early in my career was like, oh, I love the technique so much. Why am I not hurting anyone?
Yeah.
Barry draws out like you're here to fucking kill someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how I feel going into this fight. Like I've had dreams of just like splitting this kid with my elbows and just making it a horrible night for him. And then that's what I want to do when I get in there is hurt this dude.
Yeah. When it happens, we're going to replay this and be like, you called it.
Oh my God. That's going to be a great clip.
Mystic Mac Tyler for sure.
For sure.
What round are you taking him?
I don't know, man. So it depends. This fight, he fights so unorthodox and like he's been known to pull guard a lot and like get hit and pull guard after he, you know, it's just he fights a very strange way. So I'd like to knock him out in the first round, but it very well can be like a very weird decision that I win because it's in his hometown. And once I hit him, I could see him pulling guard. So I don't know. It could really go any way.
And especially with somebody who wants to inflict so much damage, pulling guard might not be the best option.
Right, yeah. And he's good off his back. He's got a good jiu-jitsu game. So do I. You know, like I've competed against some of the best guys in the Midwest for jiu-jitsu.
So you're the only person I know like personally who's done slap combat jiu-jitsu.
Combat jiu-jitsu, yeah.
And you actually fought somebody I used to train with, Billy.
Yeah.
And I watched that on your Instagram, and like, how fun is combat jiu-jitsu?
Oh, dude, it's great. I would say it's perfect for anyone who wants to like dip their toes into MMA.
Yeah.
Like it's a promoter's like best friend, right? During COVID, when there was not a lot of MMA things going on, I would go out to Florida. Shout out to Vigilant MMA, Brandon Lee. Would fly me out to Tampa all the time. Like I think I traveled more during COVID than I had in my life, like period.
Jeez. Wow.
He was flying me out to Tampa like every month or two to do combat jiu-jitsu matches because they were still running stuff, and he would just pair it with his MMA cards, and then slowly but surely he had these combat jiu-jitsu guys. All right, I think I'm ready to take an MMA fight. Like, it's the perfect way to kind of get in there, feel the nerves, get hit, but understand that you're not made of glass and you're not going to shatter into a million pieces, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
So it's fun. Yeah. It's good reps for me too. Like, I just, you know, like going up against someone like Billy, who's so high level and world class at what he does, I'm not going to be able to get that. Like, I want to know if I get a short notice fight for the UFC and it's against someone from that area of the world, I want to know, all right, I hung with him, had a good match with him, won. I can do that here tonight. You know, so it's good to like equate that back.
The ground and pound like practice you get must be crazy.
Yeah, 100%. I think it was my second combat jiu-jitsu match. It was against a guy named Gino Ciprius out in Florida. And I just battered this kid with slaps. And that was like one of the first times I really learned the lesson in there of like, all right, I can take my time here, pick shots from good positions, and then open up submissions with ground and pound. You know, so you learn those lessons when you're in there, even if it's not fighting per se, but it's in competition and you're getting those reps. I think it's so key.
That's awesome. To get like outside of fighting just a little bit, so people can get like a real good understanding of who you are. What are like some things you enjoy outside of fighting?
Man,
like who's Tyler at home?
Yeah,
outside the gym.
I'm very laid back, man. Like I'm very chill. I don't do anything so super crazy, right? Like we don't go out much. I don't drink or anything like that. My girlfriend and I, we run like a t-shirt printing company. So we do that. We print a lot of apparel for businesses and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
I also am the main designer for a t-shirt company called MMA Tico. And what we do is all around the U.S. we have fighters that are looking for fight apparel, and I'm the designer, and I make all the designs there. So a lot of my free time is based on them too. So between that, coaching and fighting, like I have negative amount of time.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome. I didn't know that you did that.
Yeah, I stay busy, man.
Yeah. I saw the jerseys that you have coming out.
Yeah.
I need one of those.
Yeah, dude.
I got to put in my pre-order for sure.
It was, we were trying to get the old like Bulls feel to that. So yeah, but like I designed those. I designed the fight t-shirts that came out. So it's weird. It's kind of weird to do it for yourself. Like, I don't know if last couple ones I've done for me, but yeah, like almost it's interesting to see because I'll corner with Danny whenever we have fighters, right? And I'll go to, we had a fight. Thank you. We had a fight in, I want to say it was Iowa, something like West Virginia. So West Virginia, yeah. And we went out and I saw like a couple guys wearing shirts that I designed.
Oh, snap.
And I like delivered one to one guy that was fighting on the card. Like if like you're at a local show around the U.S., most likely MMA Tico has an athlete there that's wearing one of our shirts. Yeah. And I designed it. So it's just cool. It's a kind of another level of being involved in the MMA community that I love.
Yeah, you actually made that connection with me for my first pro fight, like my pro debut. And shout out everyone who got the OGTs.
Yeah.
I got a new logo now, but yeah, they were like super easy and fast. Yeah. Like I told them like, this is what I wanted. This was my like idea and I'm going to shoot for that. And they were like the next day pretty much with a design.
Yeah.
Let's cheers to Fighter Fluid.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
So you designed the shirts yourself?
Yep. I designed the shirts. If you go to MMA Tico on Instagram, literally any design that's came out over the last year has been one of my designs. So it's cool. I like to focus on like the vintage, like bootleg looking shirts. Like rap tees are really big right now.
You don't see that in the MMA game. Right.
No, yeah. It's not
very cool.
Not as much. And now you're starting to see it kind of play out, I forget what the brand is called, Millions or something like that. They do a lot of fighters that are at the UFC level and they do it, but it's all the same stuff. Like we're pretty much designing at the same level. Like we take an old shirt like that we find somewhere online and just rep it off of that,
Yeah, that's awesome. And like the support from your family, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, man, my family's always been there for it, like my mom and my brother and my dad were all at my first fight and they've been every step of the way since, you know. Yeah, wrestling in high school, they were always there, and I've been an athlete my whole life, whether it be baseball, basketball, wrestling, football. Like, it's always been, where is he competing at this weekend, you know? So I really feel like in life, I'm not living like my best life unless I am competing or have something coming up. And that's why I compete so much. I mean, constantly doing jiu-jitsu tournaments.
You're a seasoned competitor
always,
for your whole
bro.
life.
Yeah,
always.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your favorite sport that wasn't MMA growing up?
Man, that's a good one. I think the one I was probably the best at was baseball. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. I couldn't even remember it now. Like, I feel like it's taken over so much of my life. Big tennis guy now, though.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I are playing tennis a lot. It's such a good time.
Nice.
And that's
Have
better,
you tried pickleball?
it's better than golf.
Tried pickle a little bit. Yeah, I tried pickle. Pickle's fun.
Good.
Pickle's fun. Tennis is like harder though. It's like, it's hard to get the swing right, and you're not like, it's difficult. But yeah, we've been picking up tennis. We play a lot of tennis now.
That's awesome. I'm getting into golf a lot more
You're
now.
old. I'm old. You're
Dude,
old.
I know. I feel it, dude. I like hurt my shoulder 2 weeks ago, and it took longer to like heal.
Yeah.
I'm like icing it every night. Like,
I got
dude,
the
what
place
the
for
hell?
you, dude. Sponsorship. Shout out Ether Lab in Oak Brook Terrace. It's a
Shout out.
wellness like spa place, but they have cryo, they have hyperbaric chambers, they have nano V, compression boots, all the stuff that fighters need to get their body right and recovery right. And man, like, it's made a world of difference for me, for sure.
Dang, I got to check that place out.
Yeah, it's not too far. It's, you know, they have good prices. If you let them know that I sent you, you'll get some type of discount. But even cryo, man, like 3 minutes at negative 220 degrees.
Yeah.
It's money, dude. It gets all that inflammation out. The hyperbaric chambers, they're expensive, but they definitely work. You know,
The Funky Bones discount.
the Funky Bones discount.
I need that.
Funky Bones discount.
Tell us about like how you got that nickname.
School. Shout out Mike Fumagalli, who's a big reason why I'm here where I am today.
Yeah.
And we can go into him later, but he would I would not be able to pick up just the way that my body is and the way that I move. Like, I was never like the short, compact wrestler that was shooting doubles and having success with that kind of stuff. So he would always like show a move and then be like, all right, fucking, you're funky. We got to pull you off to the side and do something different. Right. And whatever he showed me for my style would work. So I knew that I had that. And then I was like, man, if I could just find a way to do that in with my name and make it rhyme. And then I just came up with it because of John Bones Johnson. All right, fuck it, we'll go Funky Bones.
Yeah.
And it works well, man. It people love it. So
Catchy too.
yeah,
It's
it's
awesome.
catchy. It's good for merch. It's worked out very well.
Nice. Would you say like that is a John Jones? Is that a fighter that you like try to be like, or who's a fighter that influenced you?
Yeah,
throughout
I think
your career?
everyone wants to be John Jones. You know what I mean? At least in a competition standpoint, maybe not in a everyday life
Yeah,
standpoint.
right.
But,
We're praying for John Jones.
Right. But, you know, I think people that I emulate or like I see in myself when I watch them fight, or people I try and emulate myself after, Sanhagen, guys like Patchy Mix, Julian Erosa, these guys that are very like flowy on the feet and move well and switch stances and kick and punch and grapple and kind of do it all. Those are the guys that I'm really interested in. I think even like way back in the day, Carlos Condit was one of my favorite fighters because he did something very similar where he's kind of just he's breaking all the rules, right?
Yeah.
Like his hands are down sometimes and he's not a traditional, like he's not in southpaw the entire fight. Now he's in orthodox. Now he's back in southpaw. Like he's back and forth switching. And that's where I really find my flow is kind of, I don't like dead space, right? Like I don't like just kind of playing and touching. I get lulled. So I like to move around and have fun in there. And I think those type of fighters are really like that catch my eye. Sanhagen, O'Malley, even Peter Yan. Like Peter Yan changes stances in between strikes. And I think I just love that kind of aspect of striking.
Yeah.
Because it's the most technical aspect too.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to do that. It's easy to like watch that sort of thing or play UFC 5 and do it, but like in real life, like always being in that hitting range and being able to flow like that, it's very technical and hard.
Yeah, it's difficult for sure.
I just want to let you guys know the stream just dropped, but we're still going on recording.
Awesome.
We're going hard. It's going to be dropped tonight. But for the video, this could be a special segment, and that Georgie and I planned. It's a
Awesome.
segment called Funky or not.
Oh, okay.
But really quick first, before we do it, I just want to say, everybody get your Fighter Fluid. Fighter Fluid is an all-natural nootropic pre-workout. If you're tired of drinking sucralose drinks, which is a compound that is cancer-causing, DNA damaging, and even will ruin your gut biome, then start drinking Fighter Fluid because your health is the most important thing. Like I said, I started Fighter Fluid not in the mind of money, but in the mind of what's best for the consumer and the MMA fighters and athletes who are taking it. So shop at fighterfluid.com. You can use code FIRSTTIME to get 15% off your first order. Now, funky or not, just really quick.
Let's not just run that over like
Hold
that.
on a second, bro. I took 2 sips of this and I'm zooted. Like, I'm absolutely out of here. So
I love
this
it.
shit out, bro.
But like he did just kill that. That's
Yeah, that was
awesome.
dope.
I
I
appreciate
was like,
that.
he practiced this for sure.
I didn't. I make videos like, so one of the biggest things about promoting this is just, I'm sure you know with your t-shirt brand is content creation and advertisement. So I'm just,
Dude, you hit the good one the other day about, was that you were doing it with the person falling or something and then you like get
Yeah.
up in the middle? Dude, that's money, dude.
Yeah.
thank you.
With the water, that's, you gotta, those are in.
Thank you. They are in. Everybody's
Yeah,
doing that.
Everyone's
Yeah.
doing it.
But really quick, we're just going to do this. Funky or not
Let's
segment.
go. I love that. Sheesh.
Sometimes I'm like, is that corny? And I'm like, I don't
that's
fucking
it.
know. Fuck
So we're
that.
gonna read you just like a couple names, and you're gonna say funky or not.
Okay.
We're gonna start with you, Giancarlo. You go first.
All right. Funky or not, Alexander Volkanovski.
Ooh. Yeah, he's funky, bro. He's
All right.
funky.
Here we go. We're gonna go a little close to home. Tyler Veal.
He's funky, dude.
Yeah?
Tyler Veal's smooth and funky.
He's so strong.
Yeah, he's the strongest man alive, I think.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, you get hit by him too, and it's like, well, that just shook my skeleton. Like he hits hard, bro. His jab is money. Shout out Tyler Veal. He just got married yesterday.
Yeah, dude.
so
I was
shout
about
out
to say
Tyler
that.
Veal.
Shout out Tyler. Congratulations. We're praying for you and your wife. Love you guys.
Shout out. Funky or not, Georgie Medina.
Oh, man,
dude, come on.
super funky, dude.
Super funky.
Super funky.
Stop.
When you
On
were
another
outside,
level.
real quick, when he was outside, I was like, "You're looking funky today." I was like, in a good way. Because,
Yeah.
You never know.
you know,
Another close to home, Anna Summers.
Funky, dude.
Yeah.
Funky.
She's tough, bro.
Yeah, bro. She's a dog. She's good everywhere too. She's good on the feet. She's good on her back. She's good on top. Like she's just nasty in the clinch too. She's got great elbows and knees. So
Yeah, I'd love to have the Summers family here
Yeah, you
on the
should,
podcast.
bro.
That'd
Yeah.
be dope.
Summers.
yeah, that's my
Oh, that
head
would-
coach and his wife. Yeah,
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I want more coaches on. If
yeah,
you're
they
a
would
coach
love to
watching
do
this.
it, bro.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, funky or not, Dana White.
Dude, I love Dana White. Funky,
Yeah.
dude. I love him.
I love
I don't
Super.
think anyone else could run the company the way that he does it.
And
Listen,
speaks his mind too.
Yeah, like, bro, at the end of the day, what he's dealing with, like fighters, right?
Yeah.
Like fighters are by far the hardest people to deal with in the world, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean there's no one else that can do that guy's job. I guarantee it. When we lose Dana, there's going to be a falling out of the UFC. It's just bound to happen.
Yeah, I remember there was like a reporter asked him like, "Oh, do you put a leash on what your fighters can say?" And he's like, "Bro, I'm not gonna like strip their First Amendment.
Yeah,
like these guys can say whatever they want." And I was like, "Dang, that is a precedent that I love."
Right.
You know, so Jake Bauer, funky or not?
Not funky, dude. Not funky. Not funky.
He's gonna feel the
Not at all.
funk
He's
coming
gonna feel
soon.
the funk. Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's funny as hell.
All right, funky or not, Khabib.
Not funky, dude.
Not funky.
funky. Not funky. Not fun to watch. Very good, but not funky.
Yeah, what do you think about like some people having him at the top of the GOAT list?
I mean, it's hard. A lot of people are gonna hate on this. I don't see him anywhere near the top of that list.
Yeah,
honestly,
for
like
sure.
if you look at his strength,
I don't either.
If you look at his strength of schedule, it's just not there. You know, like is he one of the best of all time? Yeah, for sure. But I mean, wins over Dustin Poirier and Conor are the biggest wins, and who else? Gaethje, I guess.
Yeah.
Those are the top three. I mean, those are obviously very good fighters, but
When I think of like GOAT, I think of like Demetrius Johnson.
Demetrius Johnson, John Jones. Like if you look at John Jones's record, like I don't care Dominic Reyes close fight, Thiago Silva close fight. Like look at him when he initially got his 205-pound belt. Murderers row
Yeah.
in their prime on TRT. Vitor Belfort, Shogun Hua, all these guys who are just killers. Rampage Jackson, like these are guys that are out of control good. even Rashad in his prime, he beat. So
Yeah. And the youngest to ever do it.
Yeah, and just not even be touched,
Yeah.
right? Like in those fights, dude, he was killing people. Like he fought Lyoto Machida and like they left him in a heap by the fence after a guillotine. Like, this is the baddest man of all time. Like, period. I don't think that there's another guy out there. And to go walk up and do that to Ciryl Gane at heavyweight in a minute and a half is just like further proof that like he's on that different level.
Yeah, I remember watching the Tough House with Rashad and John Jones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, this might be a tough fight because they were teammates and because Rashad had so much, like, I don't know, time with the UFC. And then he goes in there and starches him.
Yeah.
I was like,
just it's not even a competition.
Yeah. Let's go Michael Jackson, funky or not.
Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
He's funky, dude. You see the way he moves, bro?
The king.
Dude, he would switch stances all the time, that guy.
Yeah, I have wondered before, what would his fighting style look like?
Dude, he'd be sick on the feet, dude.
Yeah.
He'd be sick.
He'll start you and then like walk off, like moonwalk off.
I don't know. He might want to grapple with some of the boys.
Oh shit!
Rest in peace, Michael Jackson. We love you.
Yeah. If any of you ask me if Aljo's funky or not, I'm gonna go no. Aljo puts like shame to the funk name.
Damn, shame to the funk
Shame
name.
to the funk name. This UFC 300 fight killed me, bro.
Oh yeah, that was tough to watch because I was like supposed to fight the same night and then they canceled the fight because my opponent got sick. Still praying for you. But we went out to the bar and watched the fight, and I was like, "What is Aljo doing?"
Just sucked the air out of the
Against
arena.
Calvin Kattar?
Against Calvin Cater, dude.
Yeah, Cater.
Yeah. Kattar, is it? I don't know. Who knows?
Who
Yeah.
knows?
I got CTE.
And then I love the fight with him and Sugar. Like Sugar
that's
is just
sick.
amazing.
So good at distance management.
Yeah,
I did not think that was going to happen. Though. Listen, Aljo's a great fighter. It's just, I don't know. He's not funky, bro.
yeah. No,
He's not
he's got to
funky.
change his name.
Yeah.
All right, just. Do you have any more funkies?
No, that's all my list.
All right, because I have a new kind of segment.
Oh.
If you were to go into a lab and genetically modify the best fighter you could possibly make, who give a striking background, a jiu-jitsu background, who is he boxing like? Who's
Yeah. Okay.
like? Does he box like Mike Tyson and kick like Alex Pereira? Like who? What is
Damn.
this man?
All right. I think. Jeez, this is a good one.
Wrestling too.
Yeah, he's got the wrestling of. We're gonna really break it down. He's got the wrestling of Bo Nickel.
Ooh.
But he's got the cage grappling of a Habib, right? He's got the ground control of a Habib. He's got the kicks of a Barboza, but the punches of a McGregor,
Nice.
and the clinch game of prime Anderson Silva. Jiu-jitsu wise, damn, that's tough. I don't know, man. Like there's so much. Like you can be good off your back. It's good to be good off your back in MMA. You shouldn't rely on it. Shout out Jake Bauer. But Charles Oliveira probably grappling on top and bottom. He's just so dangerous with
for sure.
submissions. You
It
know?
makes
That
you
man.
wonder, how did he get submitted by Islam? Like,
Dude,
he
I
got
think
wobbled.
looked-
Is that
yeah,
why?
I don't know. He looked off. Didn't he look off? Like
He did.
He looked like he just succumbed to the pressure of the moment. You know, wasn't it in Brazil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like the rematch, hopefully they have one, he'll come out better.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, he's done that in his career before, right? Where he's kind of like turned his back away. Like he lost to, I mean, if you look at his record, it's crazy. Like he's lost to Jim Miller. He's lost to a bunch of people who aren't at that. They're great fighters, but not at the championship level of the UFC. And I think the knock on him was always like, well, he quits when things get tough. And in that fight, like we saw a glimpse back at that, and it was worrisome. But then he went out and beat the crap out of a Dariush after. So
Yeah,
he's a dog, man.
for sure. And what about you, Georgie? Who's your?
Okay, I'm gonna
was jiu-jitsu the last?
Jiu-jitsu is the last thing.
Okay.
Let me start from the mental game.
Oh, that's good.
Ooh, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I'm going to have the mental game of John Jones.
Okay.
And then we're going to go boxing of, I'm going to have to copy you and say Connor.
So good.
He's just got that left hand touch from hell. Low kicks, I'm going to go Jose Aldo back in his prime at WEC. Like he was killing everybody
Nasty.
with the low kicks. Grappling, Charles Oliveira, or like jiu-jitsu of Charles Oliveira. Takedowns, I would say Hazmat Chimaya.
Ooh, okay.
Like
Okay.
just
super
dominant.
fast entries.
Yeah, super fast and super dominant. Cage control, I'm going to say Khabib. And what am I missing? I think that was everything.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one.
I like that one. Who would win in a fight, your guy or Tyler's guy?
Damn.
I don't know. Tyler's guy doesn't have a mental
Yeah, my
game.
guy's weak, bro.
Mentally weak.
Guy's weak.
He has a Bauer mentality.
Damn.
It's funny because you could be that good of a fighter with all those different aspects, but then if you have a weak mental, it totally breaking it down, it extinguishes a lot of those good features that a fighter could have.
100%, man. 100%.
Which goes into like my next question. What, I know from my experience it's different from everyone else, but what are the different mental barriers you had to go through to like decide like, okay, I'm done with my amateur career? Because you're what, 8-2 as an amateur was your record?
Well, I was 5-2 as an amateur, and then 1-1 now as a pro. I think for me, man, like I was getting ahead of myself at some times where I was just like, all right, let's go pro already, let's go pro, and not really thinking about the journey. I'm more worried about the destination.
Yeah.
And I took those 2 losses back to back. The one fight, just 2 bad performances in a row, like very bad performances, not mentally there at all. So getting working with Danny and him being like, you got to figure out if you want to do this or not. Like, this isn't something that you can do half in or half out. This isn't something you just do until you go pro and then things click on. Like, you really have to put pen to paper and make things happen.
Right.
So going into my last amateur fight, what would be my last amateur fight, we didn't know at the time, was like, he's like, you got to show me something that you're a different level than these guys if you want to go pro. And that's exactly what I did, right? That was the one where I broke the dude's jaw with the head kick, and it was just a massacre.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the kind of performance that led me to know, okay, like, I don't belong at this level anymore. I need to move to the next step. But there are a lot of barriers of just being complacent at times and thinking that I was fine, or not like showing up to actually fight on fight night, So, but those are lessons you have to learn. Like, if you don't have tough fights at amateur, you're doing a disservice to yourself. Like, if you look at your career, like, you fought very tough guys, Angelo, Nick Hawkins, Tyler Veal, Derek Cooper. Whatever happened to Cooper, dude? Cooper
I don't know.
was sick.
Shout out Cooper.
Shout out Derek Cooper, dude.
Businessman now,
Yeah,
for sure.
he's a businessman. But those are tough guys, guys who pushed you and made you better. And then I think that, my amateur career, the only person that I fought that had a loss on his record when I fought him was one guy, Kevin Souza, who's very good, is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, great striker, and he tapped me out. It was probably the worst performance of my life. Like, going out before the fight, I was like nervous, I was scared, he was in my head. He had like talked shit to me. I did not respond the right way, and I had to work a lot on my mentality after that.
Yeah.
But he exposed something in me that I didn't know was an issue. Now I know, and I fixed it. So you can't go through those things unless they happen to you.
Yeah,
really. And
that's
at
awesome.
amateur, if it's going to happen to you, it should happen to you at amateur, because truthfully, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, really does not matter. Once you go pro, slate wipe clean.
That's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people tell me that too. They're like, whoa, you won 4 titles as an amateur? I'm like, bro, that means nothing.
I mean, it's the accolades are there, right? But like, losing and like feeling like learning these hard lessons. It's so like, there's guys that had like amateur careers of like 10 and 7, and then they go on tears when they're pro just because they know themselves now.
Yeah.
Like, they know exactly what they have to avoid when they get in there. And yeah, like, you should not be afraid of failure as an amateur fighter.
It's good. You talked about Danny a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you talked about your coach in high school.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit of like why these coaches were like so like special to you.
Man, Mike Fumagalli, man, changed my life for sure. In high school, I think I've always struggled with like just kind of being too complacent and too like nonchalant about life in general, and he kind of really pushed me into high gear and
Put the fire under your ass.
Exactly. Yeah. So I had no plans to go to college or anything like that before my senior year of high school, and he really pushed me to be not only a better wrestler, a better human being, a better educated adult at that point.
Nice.
So I wrestled my ass off. He poured a lot of time and effort into me. And he came with me on a college visit where I had to like, my grades weren't good enough to get into the school because I didn't care about education at all either at that point.
Yeah.
I had to have a meeting with like the board of directors of the school, and he took off of work to come with me to go do that and drove out there with me. So yeah, just like a guy who has always been in my corner, you know, just a tough dude. Like a lot of misfortune has happened to that guy in life. Like he lost his wife, he lost a couple babies, like just a tough life, but he's always been like
there for you.
Yeah, always been there for me, but always shown like how tough and reserved he is. Like he just deals with things in stride and keeps moving forward in life. And yeah, I mean, just a huge role model for me.
A stand-up guy.
Yeah,
That's so
100%.
cool. We need that for like the next generation of like guys that are like gonna show the work in themselves.
Yeah,
because
so
like you with
true.
your coach, I have the same thing with my coach that lives in Wisconsin now, but he's and my dad too. I don't want to discredit him, but these guys in my life that were around me were just like pushing through hard shit.
They
My
don't
dad-
teach that anymore. no.
Yeah, right. And it's like we have these YouTuber content creators that are just like making all this money and then acting like goofballs, and then we see that in the street.
yeah.
But
And
like
I think you get discredited too, right? Like
Yeah.
there's guys like David Goggins out there that people just shit on because he's like, oh, he's yelling and he's making people look bad. Right? No, dude, that guy's he's a savage. Like that's what he
Yeah.
is. Like if he didn't have an Instagram account, he'd be doing the same shit he's doing right now. Like
100%.
there's no change in that, right? The Cam Hanes, these people who are like extraordinary, uncommon amongst the uncommon. You know, that's like, I don't know, especially for the MMA community, it speaks to me of like, all right, this is what I need to aim to be, right? Like,
Yeah.
I need to be uncommon amongst a bunch of savages. How do I do that? I got to keep working.
Yeah, that's
know?
awesome, dude.
That's especially my generation's kind of fucked. Like, I'm just gonna, like, you know what I hate doing too is grouping a group of people together, because like maybe not everybody is like listening to rap, like going down the bad route, but just knowing that like I make YouTube videos too about just being a small business owner and stuff, but I hope people my age watch that and think like I can do this too.
Yeah.
Because if I, like you said in the last podcast for MMA, like I want people to watch me and say, if he could do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like it's sort of my job to be a leader for this next generation. And I can't wait till Fighter Fluid's big enough where I can start hiring some of the people I grew up with and close to my age, because then I want to bring everybody up with me. And I'm sure that's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
And jumping off of that, like, who are the group of people that you're bringing up with you, both of you? Like, who's your day one friends who have been going to your fights since the first amateur fight? The guys who are always at your corner. I know you said your coach, but like who?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's like a two-part answer, right? Like there's the people who have always supported me, like going back to like high school friends, man. Like these guys, I'll name drop them now. Todd Cruz, John Rodriguez, like these guys who have been there from day one, amateur one. Like my buddy Todd was at my amateur debut, went to my pro debut, and then went to Vegas for my last fight too. Like he's just like that type of supportive, you know. Same thing with John. John will be there next weekend at my fight in Iowa, 2 weeks notice, no problem, you know. But then also someone, you know, Don Boja, bro, there's like, this kid is the most supportive guy of all time. Like he's our wrestling coach at Intercept, and he is like the most selfless dude of all time, man. Like he's all in on my career. He's helped me every step along the way. I've gotten so much better working with him, wrestling, and just like he's a cheat code, man. And he's always down to help and be in the right place at the right time, working on the right things, and it's made such a difference. On the flip side of that, as a leader now, like getting older, right? I am one of the coaches at Intercept and a leader there from being an older fighter and doing some of the things that I've done in the sport. So like you see this younger group of fighters that is starting to come up and starting to train and starting to run into the roadblocks that we've all run into as seasoned veterans kind of. And it's an interesting role to play, right? Because this is the role that I think ultimately is going to be the rest of my life, right? When I'm done competing, that's what I want to lean into, is owning a gym, owning a fight team, and getting those guys to achieve their goals in the sport and in life. So yeah, it's interesting, man. Like there's guys in our team that are just young 21, 22, 23-year-old guys working through the same stuff we work through at that age, you know? So yeah, it's a fun role to play.
When you were when I was trying to fix whatever was going on with the stream and you were over there and you said when these guys are done, you remember that conversation? Like one of these coaches retire and are out, we're fucked.
Yeah.
You want to explain that the premise around that conversation a little bit?
We were talking about Joe Goitia, who's like a Chicago MMA legend, right? Has been running TFC, Total Fight Challenge, and I think there's another one now, Matador, at Cicero Stadium forever. Like he had Bilal Muhammad, Curtis Blades. These guys were fighting under Joe's stuff when they were amateurs, right? And same thing with Fight Card, but Joe has stayed consistent for decades now. And when Joe decides, to stop doing this, or when he's older and can't do it anymore, like we're screwed, dude. Like there's no one else like that. Like, that's a pillar of the Chicago MMA community, and just shout out to Joe. I don't think he gets a ton of credit. I think a lot of the coaches know how good of a guy Joe is, and I do a lot of corner work with Intercept, and anytime there's an injury or something happens in a fight, Joe's the first guy back there. Is he okay? Make sure he goes to the doctor, all this stuff. We'll take care of it. He's just a great dude, man. He's been around the sport forever. He knows his stuff. And yeah, I mean, he gives a platform for these fighters, whether you've never stepped foot on the jiu-jitsu mat and competed or had a smoker before. Like you can go in there and fight and see how it feels. You know what I mean? So yeah, we don't have like anyone like coming up under that did that. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy.
That a lot has to do with like our athletic commission, and I don't want to, blast them on right now, but it's just like if you have more opportunities for promotions to come here, you're giving platform to these fighters to like dream big.
Yeah.
Like these Chicago kids, the Illinois fighters, it's like hard to dream because you have to go all the way to Nevada or Florida or California to get these like nice promotional fights, and shout out Anthony Pettis for doing the thing in Wisconsin and here in Indiana as well.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But it's like, if you give us the environment we need to dream big and to like bring more fans, the sport is going to like triple the blow up here.
So athletic commission, this is what you guys need to do. If you guys are going to make opportunity easier for these fighters, and then you have more coming into the system and you have it set up so your main thought isn't money first, they will come up from the ground that you've built and the foundation you've built, and then they'll make history and a name for themselves, which later on will bring you more money. You have to invest in these fighters instead of just be so upfront with the money. Is that good to say?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the main issue, you know?
Like there's a lot of things we don't really know that goes on and behind closed doors and stuff, but I would love to, like, I don't know, sit and have a conversation and see, like, what are things that I know. I've been in the sport 10 years and my amateur career, every fight was here in Illinois. And I'm like, man, there's kids that want to fight. Right. That just need the opportunity.
And that's not to say, there's some great people on the athletic commission. Like the people that are working the fights are great people. Brian Pachillo, all these guys who have been there forever know exactly what they're doing. The refs are amazing here in Illinois. The judges, Gabriel Sabatas, all these guys are great, right? But it's whoever the higher ups are controlling it that make it almost
harder for
unattainable, right? Yeah. Like, and now, like, especially downtown, right? Like that Wind Creek Casino is being built downtown. That's a perfect spot to have the LFA go to, the UFC go to, whoever go there and capture how amazing Chicago is. But if you don't have these people or promotions coming to the state to even let us perform, that's why you're seeing the talent die here. Like, how many Chicago fighters are in the UFC? There's like 3. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's just, the talent is not, like, I'd rather move then. Like, going to Vegas, dude, when I went to go train at Extreme Couture for a week, and just like, the profession of fighter alone is so much well respected there than it is here. Like, you go to Chipotle and they're like, are you a fighter? How long have you been fighting? How can I follow you? Like, straight up, the person behind the counter will just ask you. Damn. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more accepting of what it is to be a fighter over there. Here, we're so far behind. Yeah. Like, it's just it's a wild profession for people to understand. But over there, like it's
Which-
bread,
Yeah.
It almost makes it like more impressive coming up from the Chicago area.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like in our tight-knit MMA community here, when we see a fighter go pro in Chicago, they get like a lot of love, because we, like, you guys know how hard it is for it to get to that point. Shout out Bilal, he has a fight coming
Yeah,
up
Bilal.
representing Chicago. But it's such a beautiful community.
Yeah.
It's always so tight knit too.
Yeah.
And
And shout out to like Joe and all the promotions that are like sticking around through the hard stuff, because I'm praying that it does get easier towards the end.
Yeah. I hope so.
And these environments and platforms are placed so that people can continue dreaming big.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. I mean, there's nothing like fighting at home. I will say this though, amateurs out there that are looking to make this a career, you should 100% be fighting outside of the state. Like, if you're going to go somewhere in the sport, you can attest to this. I can attest to this. It's not going to be at home, especially here in Chicago. Right? Promotions are going to fly you in to fight their best guy in the beginning, and then once you make that statement or you get that respect from them, it's going to be wherever they want you. Right?
Yeah.
So fighting not at home at your amateur career for free testing, you know what I mean? Fighting someone else's hometown, get that feel of the booze and be the villain, because it's so important. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to like kind of rinse that out of your mindset that you got to fight in front of your friends and family, because it's definitely an experience you need to have. You need to travel. You need to feel what it's like to travel while weight cutting. You need to feel what it's like to be booed and hated when you walk out. You need to feel what it's like to be booed and hated when you win. Like,
Yeah.
that's just part of the experience,
And that's one thing that I like that you said, like right off the bat, you're like, I'm staying ready so I don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
And these like out of state promotions are going to call you like in 3 weeks notice.
Yeah. And at this level of the pro game, like, you got to get your numbers up, you know? Right now I just fought, Eli Barzale, who's a savage, right? Me and him have become very close friends now, and he just knocked the guy out for LFA last weekend or something. And like, if you look at my record and it's 1-1, like, but I went to a close decision with this guy, like, people are gonna be like, yeah, I'm not taking that fight at 1-1. Call me when he's 3-1 or something like that, So it's hard to find fights, period, right now.
Yeah.
So just getting the numbers up is key. And shout out to my manager, Brian Butler from Sucker Punch Entertainment. He's the one that really kind of drove that into my head. Like, listen, the rest of the stuff will come, but we got to get the numbers up.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Because it's a business at the end of the day. You're a businessman. Just because being in the fight game also requires you to market yourself well.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't want to keep you forever. So because you do have to go soon, you have responsibilities to handle at your gym. Respect, because somebody has to teach this generation coming up how to throw hands.
That's good.
Yeah.
But you just do one more shout out of your shirt company and what's going on with them.
Yeah. So shout out to MMA Tico. Again, like, there's kind of two levels to this, right? Like, if you're a fighter and you want to have merch made, hit us up. There's no costs up front. All we do is we shave a percentage off of your sales, and we pay for the apparel, and we pay for the printing and the design, and then you get your cut of it from your sales. So
That's good.
Yeah, you're not paying anything to make it happen. If you go to MMA Tico on Instagram, there's an application link. You can apply to become a sponsored athlete. From there, the John and Alex, the owners, will connect you with me. We'll talk about what you want in your design, and we'll get your design out to you. You'll get your shirts for you in your corner, and then everyone else can order online. Everything it stays up online year round, right?
Yeah.
Like, your old shirts are still up there, I'm
Yeah.
sure. So you can always order, you can always have people point to that link and still get some type of income from it. My shirts are out right now for my fight.
Come on.
If you go to my Instagram, Funky Bones Jones, toss me a follow. It's all on there. I have so many sponsors to thank. I don't even know if I could list them all, but it's all on my Instagram. There's, like, we talked about Ether Lab. We talked about Chicago Mind Solutions. There's Emerson's, Red Barn. There's so many. So go check out my last post. I got all my sponsors tagged on there. And yeah, I'm excited to go do some workout in Iowa next weekend.
Yeah. Let's go.
Can they watch live?
They can. I don't know what the pay-per-view looks like quite yet. But I'm sure I will post it, like the closer to the fight.
Okay.
Shout out to this though. Don't click on any links for some random person on like a comment of any page. You're going to get scammed for sure. I don't know why the MMA community has been like,
unless it's fighterfluid.com.
there you go. Yeah.
for sure.
But the MMA community has been like riddled with this. Like every time there's a person fighting, you'll get like 40 fake profiles and they're all posting pay-per-view links and then they scam people's credit card information.
Wow.
So only click on a link that's like posted
By the fighter. Yep.
themselves.
Okay.
Don't accept any friend requests from some promotion you've never heard of, or like even if it's the promotion I'm fighting for, they're making another profile to scam them. So hit the link that I'm posting. It's usually a lot easier when I fight for LFA. It's just on Fight Pass or something like that. But for this one, make sure you mind your P's and Q's.
There we go. And thank you for coming on and co-hosting.
Yeah, this is awesome. Before we go, I'd just like to say, like, I'm inspired by you. I'm thankful for the friendship that we had. I'm grateful that we didn't get to fight, but the many, many rounds of sparring that we have done already and soon to happen, I cherish, because you are a good person, bro. You have a great heart. And that goes to like the people around you.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
I just like encouraging people that, we do this podcast with, and keep going, dude. I'm a fan. Man. I'm forever a fan, and you're my guy.
Thanks, brother. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome.
Fighter Fluid family, thank you for watching. Peace out.